It's a battle along the wall. 10 seconds are left. Oilers desperately need to get it out of there. They can't do it. 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 2 seconds. And that's going to do it. These Cats have staved off history. They've clawed their way to the top of hockey's highest mountain, conquering Connor McDavid and the Oilers in the final. For the first time in franchise history, the Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions.
They've clawed their way out of the Everglades. And for the first time in history, the Florida Panthers win their first Stanley Cup. Another Stanley Cup in the sunshine state of Florida. And it's no longer just about the beach and the cold drinks. Hockey is alive and well in South Florida as the Florida Panthers make NHL history. Oh my word.
There you see the Panthers, the captain, and on the other end, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. Look at Paul Maurice.
Wow.
A lifetime in hockey. Coaching since the late 1990s. Started as a young man. Now late in his career, his third trip to the Cup final, his third trip is the charm. Lost in 2002 with the Carolina Hurricanes. Lost last year with the Florida Panthers. And was on the verge of a historic collapse here in 2024. But in the end, the Florida Panthers find a way to get it done. And they've won the Stanley Cup. And they're the captains.
All class.
The Rats are flying here.
Wow.
Kind of a symbol for the Florida Panthers franchise. What can you say about Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers? You just had the feeling they were going to tie it. They've come back every single time this year.
Incredible.
Sergei Bobrovsky, he was brilliant.
He was.
He was brilliant in this game. He had the reset. The Tkachuk family. Keith Tkachuk played many years in the National Hockey League.
What a career, too.
Never even went to the Cup final.
What a career. I remember playing again. What a player.
To see his son win a Stanley Cup. There's Oliver Ekman-Larsson. What a year he's been through. Bought out by the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
There's Tkachuk.
With Miles Fee from the staff. Matthew Tkachuk, who told me last year right here, each at All-Star Weekend. Wow.
There's Tkachuk and McDavid, two faces of this game.
Incredible stuff. Bouchard, you want to talk about coming of age.
Brilliant.
Wow. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who almost had a Stanley Cup 13 years to the day that he was drafted in.
Brady Tkachuk,
yeah.
Matthew's brother, plays for the Ottawa Senators.
Wow, man. This is one for the ages.
No question about it.
It's a Stanley Cup for the ages. And what a show these players put on from the respective teams. The great hockey fans in both these passionate markets, and Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl unable to hoist Lord Stanley in their first opportunity, and Paul Maurice able to do so in his third.
McDavid standing by the Oilers bench. He's going to wait for all of his teammates to come by. That's what a captain does.
That's right.
And boy, Connor McDavid, 11 years to the day, he tweeted out.
That's right.
It's so, you know, watching the Stanley Cup awarded, he's so jealous of it, and now he's so close. He was so close. And there are the two goalies, Stuart Skinner and Sergei Bobrovsky. Chris Knoblauch, what a job Chris Knoblauch has done all season for the Edmonton Oilers.
Wow.
See Knoblauch and Paul Maurice there.
Sly Lefebvre, Sylvain Lefebvre in the gray suit and behind him. Tuomo Ruutu out of Finland, excuse me. The great Paul Coffey. I mean, just
might have played for Paul Maurice at
he
one
did
time.
in Carolina. in Hartford.
You can see the guys going past. Corey Perry now hugging out of our shot, hugging Connor McDavid. Corey Perry is 5th time, there it is, in the final. He's been there a lot over the last couple of years. Look at that.
And Connor McDavid said it'd be Stanley Cup or bust. He had a very impassioned speech, Wayne Gretzky told me, last year. Great. And they got here each.
And now you can see Steve Mayer is the director of operations and content for the NHL, and he's talking to Connor McDavid most likely about accepting the Conn Smythe Trophy because that gets awarded.
Exactly.
And it's probably the furthest thing from Connor McDavid's mind right now.
Yeah.
So I can go with whatever way he wants to handle it.
Sure.
But I'm sure that was what that conversation was about. And there on the ice, the Panthers. The crew is down there with shovels scraping the rats off to the side. There's Sasha
Brian
Barkov.
McCabe. Look at Kaber. Been in the league such a long time. Teammate of mine with the Islanders. Good defenseman. Had an excellent career. And now part of the front office with the Florida Panthers.
Sasha Barkov, the first Finnish captain ever to win the Stanley Cup, and that will be awarded to him shortly. They're putting together the staging for the awarding of the Stanley Cup.
The Finnish flag flying proudly here.
Hey, Sasha Barkov, I mean, what a pro.
What a pro.
And he battled tonight. A terrific job by Barkov in the game. All those face-offs, defensive zone plays. I'll tell you, this was one of those series weeks, the way it went. It's heartbreaking for the loser.
I mean,
it's just an unbelievable story. 2002.
I've been there. This is the ultimate reality show that's unscripted. And I remember with our 02 group, with Paul Maurice, the Panthers head coach, you think you get back there the next year. You don't. Life changes. Things change. He moves on. Peter Laviolette comes in. The Carolina Hurricanes end up winning. Maurice comes here last year. Panthers get to the final. They're on the wrong side of it. And this time, for Paul Maurice and company, the Florida Panthers, I got to tell you, I said the game is alive and well down here in the Sunshine State. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won their cups. The Panthers have now won theirs.
And Aaron Ekblad, the longest tenured Florida Panther, has been through a lot, different injuries. The first overall pick in 2014. What a moment for Aaron Ekblad. What a moment for this franchise. Vinny and Teresa Viola, the owners. Billy Zito, the general manager, has done a fantastic job putting this team together. They went to the final last year, Week C. They were outmanned by just a bigger, stronger Vegas team.
Agreed.
They went back to the drawing board. They put together a better, deeper team. The Edmonton Oilers gave them everything they could handle.
Oh, yeah.
But in the end, the Florida Panthers found a way to get it done on home ice. And 30 seasons in the National Hockey League, established in 1993. On this date in 1993, they were having their expansion draft.
They certainly were.
And look at Ekblad. I mean, that's got to be so emotional.
Yeah. What a moment. I remember Aaron Ekblad as a 15-year-old doing an event with him in Toronto.
There's my friend Les Jackson, who's one of the senior consultants for the Florida Panthers, and Les Jackson was a huge part of the Dallas Stars organization. He missed the Stanley Cup in Dallas. He went to Atlanta for a year. That was the year Dallas won. Personally, for me, it's great to see Les Jackson's name on the Stanley Cup. It should have been on in '99, just by chance. Didn't happen. Really happy for Les.
That's class.
And there's Ekblad right there again. He's been here through it all, right?
Everything.
When he got here in 2014, he's seen guys come and go.
Longest tenured guy, and seeing when it was literally across the street in the Everglades, really in the swamps, to where it is now. What a long, uneven road for their franchise, and just the peaks and the valleys, and the Lamborghini, Ryan Lomberg. Had a great chat with him a couple days ago up in Edmonton after the game, and I got to tell you, Each, I talked to a bunch of the Panthers waiting for you after last game.
Yes, I was,
and they, including Bobrovsky, and you were doing your thing, and they were very confident.
Yeah.
Even though they lost that Game 6 up in Edmonton, but man, oh man, And there's Patrick Hornquist right there.
And let me tell you about Patrick Hornquist.
Yeah.
When Bill Zito got here, it was one of the first things he did was go out and get Patrick Hornquist. He was out of at the end of his career. He
I
won
remember
2
breaking
Stanley
that
Cups.
deal.
You probably did. You break both of them.
I remember that.
He won 2 Stanley Cups with Pittsburgh. They got him here because Bill Zito was making a statement. We're going to compete night after night. And you can see Hornquist. That guy's a competitor.
You know, I love your point. He was ticked. You remember he put his Pittsburgh gear in the driveway and took a picture of it and tweeted it at the time. That's how frustrated, but just to show you how life can go, right?
Yep.
Frustration into jubilation for Patrick Hornquist.
And that was a big acquisition.
It was
that
huge.
Changed the temperature in the dressing room of the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
So they are still putting together the set down below. The Conn Smythe Trophy is on a table now down there. So we're almost ready to go for the ceremony, the awarding of the Stanley Cup. I guess we'll see.
Attention to the ice for the presentation of the Conn Smythe Trophy to the most valuable player of the 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs.
Let's first congratulate the Edmonton Oilers and your Florida Panthers on an incredible Stanley Cup final. The winner of the Conn Smythe Trophy is a player who has been the most valuable for the entire playoff run. The player who is going to be given the Conn Smythe this year led the playoffs in scoring and broke Wayne Gretzky's assist record for a playoffs. The winner of the Conn Smythe is Connor McDavid.
The game as he's been the great Connor McDavid. And anytime you can eclipse a record by the great Wayne Gretzky, even though you play in his esteemed Oiler franchise, that tells you how great Connor McDavid is and how great he's been. And in fact, I have an assignment to interview him shortly.
Well,
and their head coach Knobloch as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Stanley Cup.
Years ago, Wayne Huizenga had a vision to bring NHL hockey to South Florida. Vinny and Teresa Viola has made it their mission to build an incredible fan base and to bring the Stanley Cup to South Florida. To Vinny and Teresa, I say, mission accomplished. To Matt Caldwell, Bill Zito, Paul Maurice and the coaching staff, you did an incredible job to build this organization of great players. And again, this team doesn't do it without all of you incredible fans. This trophy is 132 years old. It is the hardest trophy to win and the most iconic in all of sports. And for the first time tonight, the captain who receives it is a player from Finland. Alexander Barkov, you have the honor of hoisting the Stanley Cup.
Sasha Barkov, the first Finnish-born captain in NHL history to lift the cup high over his head.
The great Teemu Selanne told me that this is a golden age for Finnish players. Such a proud hockey nation in Finland. And Sasha Barkov represents with ultimate class and professionalism.
Let's see who he gives it to.
I think it's got to be Ekblad.
Let's see. He's looking. No, he gives it to Bobrovsky. Sergei Bobrovsky. I would say, Weeksy, this cements his Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame lock. Yeah.
Resume with 2 Vezina trophies and a Stanley Cup, and really a brilliant performance in Game 7 when they needed him the most.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Each. Came over as a 20-year-old with the Philadelphia Flyers, unheralded.
Now it's Kyle Okposo.
Great moment for the veteran.
Long career. He gets the cup.
What a moment for Kyle Okposo.
He talked about his son having the opportunity to watch him play in a Game 7, dreaming of it as a boy himself in St. Paul years ago. Seemed like it was going to pass him by, but at the deadline, he got the opportunity to go to the Panthers. He seeks out Oliver Ekman-Larsson, another veteran. OEL.
OEL was great.
All those years for OEL with really not very good teams in Arizona.
Yeah.
Previously Phoenix Coyotes. Goes to Vancouver. Now it's Dmitry Kulikov. Originally a Florida Panthers draft pick. He was a first-round pick by the Panthers back in 2009, 14th overall. We got to get Aaron Ekblad this cup at some point, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. The longest tenured Panther is Aaron Ekblad.
So OEL coming back. Let's see, is this the handoff? There it is.
There it is.
And there it is. It's Aaron Ekblad.
That's great.
What a moment for him.
What a moment for him. It's from just outside Windsor, Ontario, on the border of Detroit, Michigan, USA, and exceptional player status.
Almost
good recovery, though. The boys will be all over for that one.
I was just thinking about
the boys will be all over him for that one.
You just played a hard game. You're out there, and you got that 36.5-pound trophy over your head.
Yeah.
And there's stuff on the ice. And so let's see who Ekblad gives it to next. Comes back to the pack. Looks like Sam Reinhart.
Oh, well.
Who had the game winner.
And his good buddy, Jack Eichel. His good buddy, Jack Eichel, was able to hoist it last year against them. Buffalo Sabres together each.
This year, a couple of Sabres on the winning side.
That's right.
You know, Eichel last year, but Reinhart and Okposo both.
And Montour.
And Montour.
Yeah.
And now it goes over to Sam Bennett, and what a playoff performance
Unreal.
Sam Bennett has been.
Unreal. Bennett, the menace, was at his menacing best all postseason. He's built for NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, and certainly for Stanley Cup final.
Let's see if it goes to Matthew Tkachuk next. It seems like that's the natural pass from Bennett to Tkachuk. And there's Matthew coming over and just looking at it. Puts it up over his head. And Matthew Tkachuk.
His good buddy Jason Tatum.
And he's skating it over probably towards where his parents are, maybe over that way. Tkachuk, longtime NHL player. Look at Matthew.
His good buddy Jason Tatum just won the NBA championships with the Boston Celtics and said to Matthew, go win it yourself. Schoolmates in St. Louis, Missouri. How about that?
Amazing.
In two different leagues.
Same year.
Wow, you can't script that.
So Tkachuk now brings it back to the pack. Let's see who's going to get it next. He hands it off to Vladdy Tarasenko. Fitting, he talked about watching Tarasenko in St. Louis growing up. He said it's just even crazy to be his teammate right now.
No doubt.
And Vladdy raises the cup for the second time in his NHL career.
Impressive stuff for Vladdy Tarasenko, two-time Stanley Cup winner. And he was clutch. He played very well for them and brought a lot of stability to that group.
And it goes now to Brandon Montour, part of that group last year. Fun-loving guy, Brandon Montour. Easy to talk to in the locker room.
Yes.
One of the kind of characters of the game, and heck of a skater, and gets to raise the Stanley Cup over his head. Both Montour and Sam Reinhart, free agents. There's Carter Verhaeghe getting it now.
Swaggy.
Verhaeghe had a Stanley Cup with the Tampa Bay Lightning, really in more of a support role for that team. He was a big story in this game tonight. He had struggled mightily. He got taken off the power play, but he responded with a goal and an assist in this game, and in a game that was decided by one goal. Pretty special. Now Nick Cousins, who didn't get to play tonight. Paul Maurice talked about how it was a very difficult decision. Cousins has been part of this team for a couple of years. They opted to leave Lundberg in. And so he gets to raise it. Gustav Forsling. What a tournament for Gustav Forsling. My partner Kevin Weeks headed downstairs to go take care of some business with Connor McDavid. Good luck with the interviews, and we will be in touch, and I will keep the fans occupied here. The great Kevin Weeks. The passing continues, and now Nico Mikkola. Another of the Finnish players. St. Louis Blues draft pick. Big addition as a free agent, came over on July 1st as Bill Zito tried to build that defense, to get it bigger and stronger. He added Mikkola, he added Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and he just built a deeper team. Eetu Luostarinen, another one of this Finnish contingent here in South Florida. Second round pick of the Carolina Hurricanes in 2017, came over in the Vinny Trocheck deal in 2020, and he's been a real important player. And there's Ryan Lundberg. Ryan Lundberg, the Lamborghini, or the Lumberghini. And he has been a fan favorite here in South Florida, an energy player. And that fourth line tonight with Lundberg, with Okposo, and with Stenlund, they did a nice job tonight creating energy, creating offense. Anton Lundell, the young Finn, first round pick in 2020, 12th overall, raises the cup high over his head. He's going to be here and be a fixture on this team for many years to come. Just 22 years of age. He had a terrific Stanley Cup playoffs this season. Had an assist on the first goal, his 14th assist of the postseason. Now the handoff to Evan Rodriguez. Evan Rodriguez, childhood friends with Connor Brown of the Edmonton Oilers, and played youth hockey against one another, and he ends up on top in that battle in the Stanley Cup final. Rodriguez handing it off to Kevin Stenlund. Stenlund brought over from the Winnipeg Jets, another really important acquisition, 6'5", native of Stockholm, Sweden, and again, bigger, stronger, deeper. That was the mantra for the Florida Panthers, and that was part of it. Here's Anthony Stolarz, the backup goalie. He was brought in as well this year. Didn't get to play much in the postseason, only got to do some mop-up duty in Game 4. But the New Jersey native, originally drafted by the Flyers, he had a terrific season this year. .925 save percentage. So we'll see what happens in the future for Anthony Stolarz, but his name is going on the Stanley Cup. Steven Lorenz played in the first handful of games. Did not get to dress over the last couple, but a big, strong, again, deeper forward. We got Jamie Hirsch downstairs. Looks like we might have Jamie with one of the Panthers, so we're going to send it down to Jamie.
There, are you guys good?
Take it away, Jamie.
Okay. Ryan and Sam, you guys are Stanley Cup champions. How do you describe this moment?
It doesn't feel real. This might be the coolest day of my entire life.
Yeah, there's nothing to say. Incredibly proud of the group, of course.
I know you said that your wife was supposed to put you to bed early last night, right? Because you had a restless night. Were you able to get any sleep at all?
I slept a lot more than I'm going to tonight. That's for damn sure.
He's not lying.
How do you explain this series? You guys go up 3-0. How did you keep belief alive in that room when they kept coming back and winning Game 4, Game 5, Game 6?
I mean, we've done it the hard way all year long. I'm so proud of this group. We never quit. We never didn't believe for 1 second, and it was all worth it. Every second of every battle that we went through, it was all worth it for this moment.
You think about everything that Bobrovsky has been through, all the doubters, all the questions. What does it mean to help Bob finally get this?
Yeah, he's earned it. He's earned it. Obviously, he works harder than anybody I've seen, maybe outside of Markey, and those are two big dogs, and that's why we've had so much belief. When your big guys lead the way like that, last 5 minutes, whatever it was, you just trust them, they're going to get it done.
Thanks so much for the time. Congratulations.
Get the fuck over here.
There's Paul Maurice, and the crowd responds. Look at Paul Maurice. Wow, what a moment. Paul Maurice, I think he's in hockey heaven right now. What a moment. Been coaching back into the late 90s. The Hartford Whalers, just 27 years of age. He makes the handoff. Jamie Compon, one of the assistant coaches. That's his third Stanley Cup for Jamie Compon. He was an assistant coach with Chicago and LA. So Jamie gets another Stanley Cup. The coaches are going to pass it around right now. There's Stefan Lefay. He raises it high. See Sergei Bobrovsky in the background there, big smile on his face. Bill Zito in line at some point soon to get that cup. Coaching staff raising it high. There's Bill Zito. He's pointing to someone else first, so I think maybe there you go. The pass off. That's a good leader if you're Bill Zito. Let's get it in line. Another handoff. Florida Panthers management crew. And there's Vinny Viola, the owner of the Florida Panthers. He's got to be absolutely thrilled. He takes the cup and passes it to Bill Zito, the general manager. What a moment for Bill Zito, longtime agent. Got into the management side in Columbus, and then moved down to Florida and had the opportunity to build this team, and he's done a fantastic job. There's Rick Dudley, longtime NHL executive, former player. Handing it off now to Paul Fenton. Spent many years in the Nashville organization, Minnesota Wild GM, now working here as a senior advisor. He's looking around. Hands it off. What a moment. Cup. And there's Les Jackson, has got it over his head right now. As I mentioned earlier, the Dallas Stars, he hands it off. Been in Dallas for so many years. Roberto Luongo, who started things off tonight, banging the drum. Luongo was on the wrong side of a Game 7 in 2011. It's got to be sweet. Many years as a Florida Panthers netminder. He was here, he went to Vancouver, he came back, he makes his home here, he's part of the management group. And there's Brian McCabe. longtime NHL defenseman. So they're passing it around through the management team right now. An amazing moment for the Florida Panthers in their 30th season. They went to the Stanley Cup final in 1996 in just their 3rd year. They were swept by the Colorado Avalanche. Last year, they made it back. Lost in 5 to the Vegas Golden Knights. This year, it went right to the end. They needed all 7 games. The Edmonton Oilers were a stubborn opponent. They had rallied from behind all year long. And down 3 games to none, they forced a Game 7. I think Jamie has another guest downstairs. Let's send it to her.
Awesome. We good?
Jamie!
Hold on. Okay.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Paul, we know what this moment means to you. How do you put it into words?
It's just love. I mean, I love all these guys, but I did before we won, right? The best part isn't the trophy. It's the last 3 days, because they had it all, right? With a horrible loss for us, the pressure, the fear, all the things that come with it. And watching the leadership rally this team to win the Stanley Cup, right? Like, we weren't there 3 days ago. They had paid the price for 2 years, but we were not there. And then Sasha Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Reinhart and Aaron Ekblad, all the captains, they rallied this. So I just kind of changed lines back there tonight. I didn't do much else. They coached the team.
What people don't realize is the sacrifice that you and your family and your friends have made in 26 years of coaching. Does it all seem so worth it for this moment to be a reality?
Well, I hope so. My wife and 2 of my kids, I got to say hi to Sid because he's not here. She's got a real job. Yeah, so I called my mom and dad from the ice. That was the one dream I always had, is to win the Stanley Cup and call your mom and dad. My dad's 85, my mom's 83. They both live in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. So I got to call, my mom answered the phone. I got to talk to mom and dad tonight as a Stanley Cup champion. Like, that's pretty good, right? Mom and dad are pretty happy.
I saw you on the phone. Was that who you were on the phone?
Talking to mom and dad. It was the thing that I always wanted to do, was win a Stanley Cup and call my parents from the ice, yeah.
That's amazing. You know, we know what this means to your legacy. Another guy who this cements his legacy is your goalie, Sergei Bobrovsky. With all the questions, all the doubts, the ups and downs of his whole career, what's it like to see him hoist the cup?
To fully appreciate it, you'd have to see what he does every day, and I only got 2 years of it. But he's like the Florida Panthers, right? So when he first got here, it wasn't going so good. And even in the last year, right, we had some stretches. But he just went to work every day and worked harder than everybody else. And he had a phenomenal start. The first 3 games are probably his. And then we're like the Florida Panthers do sometimes. We like to build a little adversity into our program. And then he makes the saves. Like, good for him. Wonderful.
I'm sure there were a lot of sleepless nights over the past 9 or 10 days or so. Again, to be up 3-0 and question, I'm sure there were moments, right? Did you question this group at all? Did you question yourself?
Well, that would be life, right? Like, you can be I can sit here and tell you I never did. I don't question them or their character, but you can't possibly know the outcome. Because the other team gets paid too. And they had a hell of a year, and they've got, oh my God, those guys are unbelievable. They're just so good. And I never questioned whether they could get up off the mat. That I didn't. I don't know if we were going to win here tonight, but I knew they were going to play for each other and play as hard as they could.
Well, this is something special to witness. Thank you so much for the time. Congratulations, you did it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Paul Maurice, in his 26th season, now joins in North American sports Dusty Baker from Major League Baseball with the Astros in his 25th season, Larry Brown in the NBA with the Pistons in his 21st season, and Andy Reid in the National Football League with the Kansas City Chiefs in his 21st season as the only head coaches, managers to win in those sports in their career, win the career championship in their 20th season or later. So those are some pretty impressive names. It took them all quite a while to get there. It's taken Paul Maurice quite a while to get there. It was really interesting what he said, that, you know, yeah, you don't want to doubt your team, but you just don't know how it's going to come out. And Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and the Edmonton Oilers group, I mean, what a fantastic season they had, and to come off the mat time and time and time again. But it wasn't going to be tonight, as the Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup for the first time in their 30 seasons in the National Hockey League. Sasha Barkov, looks like they're getting ready for the pitcher, which has become something that the Edmonton Oilers started way back in the mid-'80s. Taking a picture around the Stanley Cup, and you can see the players surrounding the trophy. It's a wonderful moment. This is a photo that will last a lifetime for all these men and some women that work in these organizations. See Bobrovsky coming in late, finding a spot for him. That's pure joy, baby. Matthew Tkachuk side by side. His dad, Keith Tkachuk, chased that cup for many years in his career, didn't quite get there. Never even got to a final. That's how hard it is to do. Brian Trottier once told Wayne Gretzky, "It's the greatest feeling in the world. I wish everyone that ever played could have that feeling." But he said that's why it's so special, because everyone can't. And they surround the cup. What a moment. Dmitry Kulikov comes out of the pile with the cup. And again, it's got to be special for Kulikov. I mean, he wanted to come back here. Original draft pick in '09, 14th overall. He's played several years. The Russian native played in South Florida. Bounced around the league, went from Buffalo to Winnipeg to Jersey to Edmonton to Minnesota to Anaheim to Pittsburgh and back to Florida. Now at age 33, he lifts the Stanley Cup. All right, let's take a look at the goals. There were 3 of them. And the goal scoring started in period number 1, and it was Carter Verhaeghe. He's going to dump this puck up to Rodriguez. Rodriguez wisely throws it at the net. Watch that tip. Great deflection by Carter Verhaeghe. His 11th goal of the postseason, 1-0 for the Florida Panthers. Then it's Ceci, the long stretch. Here comes Janmark. What a shot by Matthias Janmark. The stretch play works again. We're tied at 1 after 1. Period number 2, crazy sequence at one end leads to this. Sam Reinhart rips it past the glove of Stuart Skinner, and there it is. Total joy for the Florida Panthers as they stave off the Edmonton Oilers, and they stave off history to take the Stanley Cup. Nico Mikkola. What a year for the Panthers. Defeated the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Boston Bruins, the New York Rangers, and then the Edmonton Oilers in an epic 7-game series that we'll be talking about for many years to come. Roberto Luongo got it started. Verhaeghe with the first goal. And then it was Reinhart, which with what proved to be the game winner. Bobrovsky fended them off. Paul Maurice finally gets the cup. Connor McDavid, he'll have to wait another year. The Florida Panthers, in their 30th season in the National Hockey League, claim the Stanley Cup. And Sasha Barkov becomes the first Finnish captain to be handed the trophy. A picture that'll last a lifetime for the Cats. They win Game 7. Florida Panthers 2, Edmonton Oilers 1. Thank you for watching wherever you may be around the globe. The proceeding has been an exclusive presentation of the National Hockey League.